Hello, Dazzle. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I'm glad that you're here. Today, I want to talk about my personal experience with Alexithymia. I recommend that you check out my previous video on Alexithymia. In that video, I covered what Alexithymia is, as well as how it is connected to autism, as well as post traumatic stress syndrome. I personally don't have a difficult time knowing how I am feeling, but I do have a hard time putting labels on those feelings. I personally feel that language used to describe emotions is very limiting and is confusing because different people use the words differently. Like, what is the difference between joyful and delighted? Because there isn't much difference in their definitions. Yet people use these words as if there were clear lines to mark out where one begins and the other ends, and I find this perplexing. I also struggle to describe those feelings to other people. When you aren't sure what words to label your emotions with, it becomes rather difficult to describe those feelings to other people. While there might not be much importance in the difference in labeling a feeling as joy versus delight, there is a whole host of difference in labeling your emotion fear rather than anxiety. Yet, what makes it anxiety rather than fear? Not being able to explain my emotions to others has made it difficult for me to connect with them on an emotional level. This is especially true since people often misread my affect and come to incorrect conclusions regarding what it is that I am feeling. I experience difficulty distinguishing between feelings and the bodily sensations of emotional arousal. The idea that my body is somehow separated from my emotional experience is exceptionally strange to me. When I have an emotion, there is always an accompanied physical sensation that goes with that emotion. Where does the emotion end and the physical experience begin? I don't have an answer to that. The idea that they were separate things never occurred to me um, until it was presented in a therapy session. They presented the idea that arousal looked the same whether you were having anxiety or excitement. This perplexed me. It still does. I don't think that these two emotions physically feel the same, but I'm never going to be able to explain how they're different. I lack the ability. I struggle to identify facial expressions and reading body language. If you don't tell me what you're feeling, it is likely that I don't know. When trying to read the emotions of others, I frequently read it incorrectly. This leaves me constantly clueless as to how other people are responding to me socially. Am I boring you? I'll never know. Are you flirting with me? No way I'm going to guess that accurately. This has really gotten in the way when trying to connect with other people. There's no way that I can adjust what I'm doing based on how other people are responding because I'm never going to be able to read the room. So I experience a form of facial blindness. This is a difficulty with identifying and remembering people's faces. If I meet you at work and then we bump into each other at the store, I'm probably not going to know who you are. I won't recognize you outside of the social context that my brain believes that you belong in. Some of this is because I don't recognize people when they change small things about their appearances. I might not recognize you if you add or remove glasses. I took a facial recognition test as part of a research study. They presented two pictures of people, and I had to indicate whether or not they were pictures of the same person. I only had a 41% accuracy. This low recognition rate means that I frequently fail to recognize people that I have met. The result is that they generally believe that I am choosing to ignore them. This doesn't help build relationships. Generally speaking, people respond to me poorly. They frequently report that I am distant, rigid, and humorless. I am also frequently accused of having a logical and rigid thinking style that does not account for emotions. Another common descriptor that I receive is being cold towards others. None of this serves me well when trying to make friends. And it doesn't help me when I'm at work either, since my coworkers often don't like working with me. Yet the irony of this is that the very traits that make me struggle socially are often the traits that people respond well to when they're my patients. I always take what my patient reports at face value because I've got nothing else to go on. If they say they're in pain, they are, because I have no measure for a person looking like they're having pain. The same is true of every other human experience. This means that I always believe their account, which is usually immensely appreciated in a medical environment where patients often feel doubted by their providers. When approaching problems, I use logic rather than emotions for my decision making. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling. I find emotional responses to be unreliable indicators for decision making. This doesn't mean that I completely disregard what I'm feeling. It just means that I try to put my emotions into a logical context. If someone is making me feel anxious, I try to evaluate what they're doing that's causing the anxiety. When presented with critical problems, I generally respond intellectually and logically first. My emotional response usually comes later when I've had a chance to gather myself and things have kind of settled down. And this often leads to people feeling that I am robot like because I generally have my emotional response outside of public view, which means that most people never see that part of my response to the situation. Having alexithymia has made it so that I always feel alone and isolated when I'm surrounded by other people. I've spent my whole life trying to figure out the magical equation for my behavior that will make people see my emotions properly. It's like trying to dance to music that I cannot hear while everyone around me can easily hear the music. The best that I can do is mimic everyone else's dancing, but the reality is that I don't even know the genre of music that's playing. And sometimes I don't even know who I'm dancing with because it's likely that I'll mistake them for a stranger. Well, that's about it for my rambling today. If you like the video, click the like button. It really does help. And until we talk again, you guys be sure to take care of yourselves. Bye.